What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Fuego here.
And I'm Marcia Parker.
And we're back with another review straight out of Phoenix Film Festival 2017 with the sub-branch of the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival. And tonight we just got done watching a movie that I really liked. We're going to get into it as usual. We'll talk about the overall and then the story, the acting, the effects, all that good stuff. But we are going to be talking about A Dark Song today. So we did a trailer reaction for it, and I think we were all into it at the time. But I don't know if you were
parallels.
on it or not.
I was there, and we started singing The Other Side of the Door because of the similarities.
Yeah, and guess what? I almost started singing it during the movie at one point.
But she was much smarter.
Yes.
The acting was far superior to that film, but for me, the scripting wasn't as strong.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I dug it. We'll get into the specifics.
Yeah.
Shall we go?
Overall thoughts, you know, it's tough not to compare it to that North American release that we just mentioned, but I felt like it blew it out of the water as cinematography. It was a better shot film. It was a better acted film, but for me, there wasn't as much of a concise story thread of explanation. So if I was to compare the two movies directly because of similarities, I would say that I felt the scripting was stronger on one, but yet this was a better made movie. So yeah, Dark Song wins out in some aspects. Other Side of the Door, not great, but it just finished stronger for me, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
My overall was that the first half was pretty slow, I thought, but the second half, while still maintaining sort of a similar pace up until the last 20 minutes or so, I enjoyed that part much better. And in fact, I think that this is going to be a movie that will please a lot of you guys that normally hate on, specifically me, but a lot of us for these slow burn horror movies like the one upcoming, supposedly It Comes at Night, your It Follows, your other ones like that are a little bit more of a slow burn. This was definitely along those lines, but I actually enjoyed this one a lot more, except for that first hour, which was exclusively slow burn. Marcia, your overall thoughts?
I liked the movie as a whole. I think that the slowness was intentional and intentionally done well. I feel like they really wanted to drive in that this task is not easy. It takes time. It takes driven. You have to be driven. You have to be dedicated, and there is no way out once you start. And that is what I felt through it. I was like, okay, you know, we're in it. We're gonna get there, and it's gonna pick up. And there were little subtleties that help guide you through it. Like, okay, it is happening, but what's gonna happen next? How far are they gonna go? And I think they went far enough, and I thought that overall it was very satisfying. And it actually took me a moment to actually let it sink in because it was just so much to process. There's not that much dialogue, but there was so much being said. So I thought they did a fantastic job in that.
Big time, like, hinging stipulations that they had to get all in a row, and so that was like the whole preamble of it, right? Was trying to get all that stuff right.
Well, let's talk about the story then.
Yeah.
So basically the story is about a young woman who has lost her child, and she is seeking out the help of a gentleman in order to perform a ritual involving magic that will allow her to talk to her son again. And apparently there's a whole plan that involves them staying in this one house, drawing, you know, boundaries all over the place, especially around the whole house, you know, sort of supernatural style.
Salts.
and runes inside to perform rituals, and they do all kinds of weird stuff that apparently they say right at the beginning that they might be there for like 6 to 8 months trying to accomplish this task. And you know, so it's obviously a very long process that is in depth, and they have to do a lot of different things. So because of that, we get that long intro to the story. But then at one point something happens, and that's the midpoint of the movie. That's the turn when something changes, and one of the characters even says things are going to start to happen now.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, if I could have just watched that hour of the movie, I would have been super happy, because that is when things started to happen. And it was, I really loved it. And especially, again, we're not going to spoil this, but the end, like Marcia, I felt was super satisfying. And in fact, to me, I actually got a little bit glassy just because of the choice that was made.
Yeah.
And I was really happy to see that choice was made, and I thought the choice made sense considering everything the character had gone through. And I was fully happy with how the story ended up playing out. So that was my thoughts on it.
Well, for me, I actually enjoyed the first 2/3 better than the final act. The final act was not satisfying for me. I was more fascinated by the fact that they were driving home the point that it's not an exact science. And there was actually a line from the dude who's helping her at one point where he's like, science explains things as basically as possible. It's religion and magic that really delves into the uncertainties. And I thought that was one of the coolest lines of the entire movie, because science does just, it puts down those precepts and that like framework, I guess, but there has to be so much more in this universe, especially with the transference of energy when people die and stuff like that, that really fascinates me. And so just it was kind of a dirge trying to get there, but I just wasn't as satisfied once they finally got there. Just personal opinion, obviously. It was still cool, but I don't know, it wasn't quite as much as what I was hoping it would be, although there was a little explanation after we talked about it afterwards where it was a little bit more interesting for me, but it still didn't end as awesome as I wanted it to, maybe. Personal opinion. But Marcia, what did you think?
Well, see, again, like I just enjoyed it as a whole because I agree the first part is really slow burn, but I took everything in and it made the second half just appreciated it more, and I felt like it was like a reward, especially when the crazy stuff started happening and some really cool scares that were done, like not up in your face scares. They were just really subtle and creepy. Like it was like you were experiencing that. Like if you were there and you were experiencing like these spirits and ghosts and demons just messing with you, it's not going to be like up in your face. Yes, your adrenaline's going to be pumping, but it's going to be the subtleties and just like I don't know how to explain it, but it felt real to me. Like if I was going to experience that, I imagine that's what it would feel like.
You know, I tend to agree, you know, and man, I guess we should just get into, let's get into let's do the effects first.
Okay.
Yeah,
because there weren't a lot of effects for up until the towards the end of the movie, but there was some stuff, there was some tricks with shadows, but even not much of that. Like it was really more sound design. So we have to mention the sound design because that was really cool, really creepy. Like there was that last hour of the movie, there were a lot of times I found myself getting like goosebumpy and things like that. Like just the creepy, like, you know, there's certain times in horror movies where you'll just hear like like just weird noises that you can't place with your human ear. Like you're like, that's not quite anything I know, and it's so you know, like, oh, it's I don't even know what word I'm searching for. It just freaks me out.
Which the characters discussed at various points too. They're like, you heard that, right? And,
But then towards the end, we actually get a little bit of CG augmentation to a particular thing. But I absolutely loved that, and quite frankly, I would like to do a follow-up episode because we want to keep this spoiler-free, but I would like to do sort of an ending explained of this because I loved it so much. Quite honestly, I really dug that ending. So I think we'll probably do that. But yeah, I mean, how did the effects tickle your guys' fancies?
You say sound design, I say set design, because all the stuff with the candles, and it did not look amateurish at all. The spot where they filmed it, it was this beautiful old home that was almost, it was like borderline between a castle and, you know, like a, you know, small little home. It was definitely beautiful property, and even some of the scenes where they were out like walking on the countryside and you're seeing like old bridges and things like that when she, you know, finally leaves the house, and it just, I was wowed with how it was shot. It was beautiful set design, and that really is one of the redeeming qualities that I saw, especially in the third act when we did see some conflict finally start to arise.
I agree with the set design and just like the subtleties of like or how the symbols are placed, and then at one point when you realize she's entered hell in a way because you see the blood and smearing on the walls and there's vomit everywhere, and then you start to see the ghosts of the apparitions and they're all fucked up and you're just like creeped out, and I'm like, that like threw me, but the sound was very helpful throughout the whole thing because you know, you could hear like her kid crying and talking, and then like you couldn't make out like what people were saying, but you could tell it sounded like someone like there was like 100 people in the next room just talking to each other, but you can't make it out. Like so creepy. I mean, every aspect of it just kept bringing me in. I don't know what else to add to it. It's just, you have to watch this movie.
Yeah, there's a religious charge to it as well. Not that's actually very understated through almost the entire thing. Like it's mentioned once early on that that angels and demons exist in our world, kind of thing. And you know, this obviously deals more with the latter, but nonetheless, it was just engrossing. Once I got through that rocky patch where I was dozing a little bit, but let's talk about the acting then, because outside of the last few minutes of the movie, it was really just two people almost the entire time, and I thought they carried it off very well. Yeah, considering
the dynamic between the two, there was no love shared between them, but in the end, they realized that. You know, they were in it together at the end. Like there was some sort of something. You know, like she wasn't happy when something happened, but I wouldn't have been either.
And yet they did clarify though that he wouldn't have taken on the job if he didn't sympathize with her plight. Right. It was when he explained what, because this is one thing that did bug me a little bit, is that it kept changing her intentions for having his assistance. Like there was like details that she kept leaving out, and it kept evolving, and you know what she's looking for near the end. I don't feel like it was explained properly. You know?
See, I thought they did that very well, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like if you're in that situation, especially she's already been turned down multiple times, she's reluctant to give all the information.
She's learned what not to say right off the bat,
Right, because everybody's different. Maybe she was honest the first guy that she came around, and he's like, no, we're not going to do that, you know?
Well, and that's what was interesting, because his character, you'd think that his character might be like, no, that's not a good reason, I can't help you do that. But instead, he was like, okay, now I know that's your reason, let's do that. You know, like that. I thought that was really interesting, actually, and different.
Yeah, it was when he was more honest, or excuse me, it was when she was more honest, that's when he was more inclined to be helpful, despite the fact that he made it plain and clear he didn't really like her very much throughout. I mean, maybe in a womanly way, as you see in one particular scene, but, you know, which I was like, this is a little out of sort, but, you know, whatever.
Hey, man, so you can't do very much with baby batter on the brain.
Stuck in a home for how many months? And no internet, no nothing.
So anyway, you guys, I think that's pretty much going to cover our breakdown of this one. I think if you guys get a chance to see A Dark Song, definitely do so, because it is worthwhile, and especially if you like those slower burn movies, I think you're really going to like this one, and because even I did.
Yeah. And it is IFC Midnight, so there's no confirmation yet, but they're saying it might get limited theatrical, so
nice.
And it's definitely, production values are up to that level where I feel like it could go.
I think it should. Sure. It was worth watching on the big screen for sure.
Yeah,
if the other side of the door can be a theatrical, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. Thanks very much for watching our review of A Dark Song, straight out of Phoenix Film Festival 2017, with the sub-branch of the International Horror and Sci-Fi Film Festival. Thanks to everyone involved.
Monty, Jason, Patrick from Ally.
Exactly. Yeah. All of you guys, we really appreciate it. But until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
I mean, Fuego here.
And I'm Marcia Parker.
And remember,
stay scared.